Hey, hey, mamas. Welcome back to another amazing episode of the Mama Work It podcast. I am so glad you're here. If you are new, my name is Marissa Lonick. I am your host. I am the founder of Mama Work It, where we support women in the juggle of mom life, work life, wife life, fill in the blank life. And I am also your host of this awesome show, Mama Work It podcast. And of course, a working mom of 4 kids. So I am super excited to be here today and to introduce you to our amazing guests. We have Jessica Etting and Amanda Roessler. Jessica and Amanda are the co-founders of Jam, an all-in-one family calendar designed to make modern family life more efficient and equal. Amanda is a veteran product director overseeing the design, development, and deployment of software products for 15 years, while Jessica hails from the entertainment industry with 2 decades of female-centered storytelling, branded content, and marketing under her belt, including working with some of the top female talent in Hollywood. The two are not only sisters, but most importantly for their work with Jam, they are working moms to kids aged baby to teen who know what it takes to keep an organized life and thrive in working motherhood. You guys, I am so excited for this conversation. Jessica, Amanda, thank you so much for being here.
Thanks for having
Yeah,
us.
thanks
We're
for having
so
us.
excited to be here as well.
Awesome. Well, I know the story is really one that both of you have experienced together of how Jam sort of entered into the mix, but maybe you could individually just tell us a little bit more about your background as a working mom and then how this came to be with Jam.
Absolutely. So my kids are a little bit older than Amanda's, so I've been a mom a little bit longer. I have 3 boys, and probably after the second one was born, I started thinking, wow, this is really overwhelming in terms of the calendars and the scheduling and what needed to get done and communicating that with my husband. And I remember looking around and asking around, and it seemed like nobody really had a solution, and just going on and trying to hack things myself. And then, and it's hard being a working mom because you have that extra layer of the work calendar as well, and that
Mhm.
juggle. And my work has never been a strictly 9 to 5 kind of situation. So that just means there's even more logistics to keep track of. Okay, well, on that random Tuesday, I am able to go and, go into the classroom and do this thing, but oh no, I can't do it on this other day. And then as Amanda started having kids, there was literally one specific day where she turned to me, she was at my house, and she said, what am I missing here? Where is the app? What do we use? Because I've still been using, Google and Apple, and obviously we can't keep a track of everything. Everything's falling through the cracks. What are we all using? And I said, I've been looking for this for years. I'm here to tell you there's nothing out there. And I feel like
Yeah.
at first you didn't believe me, Amanda.
Yeah. So, I mean, with I've been making different software products for years. I, do project management. I love organizing. I love being on the same page with everyone. And, when I had kids, my husband also is a project manager, and we were trying to figure out how does how does he get to know some of the things that are on in my head, on my shoulders, and how do we tag team things better? And with my software background, I started hacking some things. I started using some business software to try to hack some things, and nothing really worked. And again, as Jess mentioned, I went to her, I'm like, you guys got to have figured something out better than what is happening right now. Like every day, I was working in an office, same with my husband. Every day, that period from pickup to bedtime was full chaos, full stress. And a lot of it was, it felt like on my shoulder that I had to go and disperse all that information to my husband or my kids. And so that's where we started talking.
So she started talking, and
Yeah.
I think the most serendipitous thing is that we were having some friends over, most of whom are, I think all of whom were working moms. And as they were walking in the door, we started saying, oh, we're talking about this. What are you guys using? What systems are you using? And I think as parents, and I think particularly sometimes as working moms, we tend to have guilt and think we're doing something wrong. Everybody else has it figured out. I'm the only one who can't get it together. And it was funny because at first people were saying, oh, yeah, no, we have a system. We do it this and we use the Notes app. And then we would ask like one follow-up question. Yeah, but what happens if, your partner didn't see that? Oh, yeah, well, then the whole system falls apart. Okay, well, how often is your system falling apart? Oh, almost every day. So we're like, okay, so no one has a system that's working. And it was really cool because everybody was so into this conversation. We actually like never pivoted away from it. Everybody was so curious to hear, how are people doing this in their homes? What is working? What is not? Oh my gosh, I'm not the only one. It was almost like a support group, because I think we all for so long were acting like, yeah, I've got it together. And what was really interesting was afterwards, everybody kept texting us about it, and we started getting even messages from the partners of these people who were saying, oh, I heard about this conversation you had, and I want to explain my POV of what's going on in the house. And so that was around the time that Amanda and I started realizing clearly we've hit on a nerve here. And it doesn't seem like anybody has kind of, put their lens towards this in the way that we really wish that they would have. And given that Amanda has a software background, and we both really do like love organization. You should see us before we go on a trip. We love a color-coded spreadsheet of what we have on tap and where we're going and the restaurants. So we said we both kind of have this vision for what the most amazing tool would be for families. Maybe we should be the ones to build it.
Yeah. And I mean, if you're that level organized, we're talking 2 project managers in your house, Amanda, and you're not finding something and a system to make this work seamlessly, you got to just create it. And so I love that you went about and did that, and especially together as sisters. That's really awesome. So, what dynamics do you think make it so overwhelming to manage family life these days? And why do you think that's different from like when our parents were managing our household or past generations?
I think a lot has changed. And I think we haven't even, I think we've done as a society, I don't think we've recognized as much of how much things have changed and in a few different ways. So, the first thing is that our lives are ultimately much busier than they were when we were kids, and even particularly, when our parents were kids. It was you come home, you go play outside. That's the activity. And you come home before, it's dark. And then I think with our generation, of course, there were more planned activities, the AYSO or, the brownies, but it still wasn't as chaotic as it is now, where kids have so many more scheduled activities. There's so many more leagues with extra practices, different types of enrichment you can sign your children up for at the same time as these schedules kind of ballooning. Parents are working more than ever before. So obviously, over 60% of US households, both partners are working. And I think even in the past 5 years, I would say there's more logistics attached to that because you have, okay, well, on these days I remote work, and on this day I do go into the office, but on those days I travel. So again, it's not that what we think of generations past of like, okay, clock in at this time, clock out at that time. Parent is unavailable during that time, but then they are available the other hours. We don't really work like that anymore. So I think number one, our lives are a lot more complicated. Number two, technology has made it so that things can just change on a dime. And I think that, for example, back, when we were growing up, you found out that soccer practice was on Tuesdays and you showed up on Tuesdays. And that was it. No one could change
Yeah.
it. And now, because of WhatsApp and messages and internet, and it's like, oh, okay, the practice is going to be a half hour later. Oh, we're adding a practice for Friday. Oh, we'll send you the tournament schedule the day before. And so it's kind of put parents in a position of having to constantly be fielding messages all day long from the teams, from the schools, from the extracurriculars, from even the parents who are driving their kids around. I mean, before you couldn't just text someone and say, hey, can you pick my kid up 10 minutes before? I mean, listen, I've benefited from that a million times, but it also just makes it a lot harder to kind of, it just seems like there's a lot coming at us all day. Um,
And on
and
that, I
then,
think
mhm.
it's interesting because it's not only a lot coming at us, but at different sources. So it's email, it's text, it's a WhatsApp thread. You may have an app for your school or your extracurricular. So it's fielding all those different things. And then you go to the school and there's just a poster up and that's telling you a different thing. So it's not just one unified source of information that's coming in. It's actually like all these disparate sources of information. So that just makes it more difficult to kind of consolidate it and get in one place.
Yeah.
That is so true. That is so true. I remember my son's preschool this year, the first like full week, and every Friday they do sharing, but this was new, right? New preschool, new class, all the things. And everyone's bringing in a sharing that first Friday. And I'm looking around and I don't have a sharing. And I'm like, I turn to a mom and I go, where was that email? And she goes, it wasn't on the email. It was on the printed out calendar. I was like, oh,
Yep.
damn.
Exactly.
So totally can relate to that. Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So many things that, parents are kind of supposed to be keeping up with.
Mm-hmm.
And I think back to
Yeah.
past generations too. And I think this is something that we sometimes try to copy in our own homes, even though the times have changed. When we grew up, there was that kitchen desk and my mom had a bulletin board in it. And we would get like, paper invitations in the mail. That's how you got invited to a birthday party then. And the school would send home flyers about things that were happening, or there could be like a calendar posted up. And it was very much more of a communal effort because as a kid, you would walk by and you would see that invitation. You go, oh, okay, that's Saturday, or like that field trip is happening then. And now, because so much of the information we get is digital and it's stored in an email or in our brains, we don't have that kind of communal feeling from our family. And so we try to do the kitchen whiteboard or the other things that we do, but there's so much more information now. It's a lot of work to put on someone to transfer all of that to like another venue now.
Mm-hmm.
And so I think that was, that's kind of the other thing is that like the tools that like we have used as parents in generations past don't really work for our circumstances today.
Yeah. Makes a lot of sense. What do you think was or is the biggest pain point working moms face when it comes to organization? And I'm curious how you feel Jam is solving that problem.
Well, I think the biggest issue or the biggest pain point um, is being the one that not only receives the information, but being the point person of telling everyone what's going on, telling everyone in your family what's going on. Oh, even if you have your partner or even a caregiver helping, you still may be texting them at that exact time saying, don't forget to bring the ballet shoes when she goes to ballet class and she needs her water bottle and X, Y, and Z. So being always that one responsible, source of truth for your family, it's a lot of pressure. It also takes away, a lot of times you're maybe working and having to be that source of truth in real time. And that's really overwhelming.
Yeah. And I think
The mental load is real.
Yeah.
Yeah.
with Jam, we were trying to kind of say, okay, in every house, it feels like there's one parent who feels like they are the single source of truth, who everybody texts and calls about what's happening or what did I not bring or who they know. They're going to forget this, they're going to forget that.
Mm-hmm.
And so they're like tracking it. And so with Jam, we were trying to say, can we create something, a product where this Jam is the single source of truth? And it doesn't just have to be mom inputting things in. Everybody can kind of be putting things in and they can be forwarding things to Jim. So they're not even wasting time inputting things. And then, so when you're going to ballet, you don't have to have that mile long text thread with your partner. They can just look at Jim and go, there it is, what we're supposed to bring, what we're supposed to do ahead of time. Oh, it looks like we need to bring in that permission slip for this. And so it doesn't kind of fall on one person's shoulders. I think that's like the real burden that all moms feel, and I think particularly working moms, because you're getting ready to go out of town for a work trip, and you're like, okay, I've got to create the itinerary for everybody and set all the things out. And we were saying, why does it have to be that way? It should be that all of that information lives somewhere, and you step away and you come back in. Um, and so that's kind of what we were trying to do. I think another pain point for working moms is, um, you get these emails from the school about, I'll give a personal example, like it's the book fair week. And it's not just one event, it's like every day there's something, if you choose, that you can show up to as a parent. And I think as a working parent, you learn, okay, I've got to pick and choose what I can go to, what I should prioritize. But I think what I've kind of been able to do with Jam is that when I get that email, I forward it to Jam. It doesn't mean I'm going to all the events, but now they're at least all in the calendar. And so if I find myself with that Thursday morning where a meeting canceled and I have that opening and that's the bagels and books morning, it's there. And I say, oh, you know what? I can go to that this morning. And I kind of have that opportunity. It's just a little bit more visibility than I've had in the past, where I've kind of said to myself, oh, I'm not gonna be able to make that. I'm not gonna be able to do that. So it's given me a little bit more oversight in that way as well.
Okay, we need to pause for a second because did you just say you forwarded the email to the app? Like you didn't have to actually put in book fair or coffee and bake, whatever the event was. You would just hit forward one click.
One click, I get a school newsletter. I don't even honestly read it all the time now that I have Jam. I forward it to Jam, one click. Literally, it's like forwarding it to a friend. And you send it to Jam. There's an email address you forward it to, and we parse through it. We put it on the right people's calendars, the right day, the right time. Whatever information is in that email is added to it. If there's a location in there, if it says on there, hey, be sure to bring $5 to buy the special paperback that's on sale, it will put that in there. So again, it's kind of like that single source of truth. It used to be mom would get that email and that all lived in her brain. And now she's got to remember for the $5. Now I just forward that email. And now that lives in Jam and everybody can see it. And I didn't have to enter it.
Literally, the time saving for just that simple, even that one piece of like miracle. Right? Because all I'm thinking about is like the sports schedules, the school calendar, like all the things that come as like a PDF attachment or like an email body, like that I'm then taking. And listen, I do it and I put it in my calendar because that's my main hub, but it takes time and it's an exercise. It's an activity. Like I have to block the 20 minutes to do it. And to know that I could just hit forward and do that is life-changing in itself.
It takes so much time. And I think that is something that anybody in the house who is not the one person who's usually doing that, they don't realize it. And I know a lot of partners in the past have gotten in fights of the you didn't put it on the calendar fight. And then the person whose quote unquote job it was to put it on the calendar says, you start putting things on the calendar. Do you know how much time and effort it takes to get all these things on the calendar? We first launched this feature for our beta users last summer, and the joy I felt sending the camp calendars to Jam, because the camp calendars always have so many things you're supposed to remember. And Wednesday is wacky hair day, and Friday is freaky sock day. And like, we could never keep up. And so just forwarding that and having all the information there without me doing it. I have 3 kids, they're often in 3 camps, was literally life changing.
I mean, that's like a personal assistant.
Exactly.
Right there. Totally. Okay. What do you think has been a surprise benefit that you've seen or heard either in your own homes or from a mama using the Jam app that was like, oh, I didn't think that it would solve that problem, but it did?
Yeah. So one surprise thing, I know that when we were starting off with Jam, obviously a lot of the moms resonated with the issue and what we're trying to solve. And sometimes the question would come up, but how do I get my husbands on board for it? Or how do I get my partner, involved? And what has been really exciting to see is we have seen not only the partners, wanting to be involved, but really taking more ownership and feeling like this is great. I get to be more a part of this family. and maybe kind of tapping into the little bit that they didn't feel like they even knew what to do, and everything that they tried to do was not helpful because they didn't really know what was going on. We have one of our users, one of our beta families, the dad he travels a lot for work, and when he would come back, to come back home, come back with his family, he always felt like kind of the odd man out. Where now he's told us when he comes back, he feels like, first of all, he knows what's been happening all week. He has that visibility to see what his family's been up to, but he can go and pick up the ball and just like be able to jump into the whole family routine very easily. He knows what needs to get done for the next week. So that's been really exciting to see that enthusiasm and that excitement from other members of the family as well.
The other group that we were really surprised about is that, you know, we have kids, baby to younger teen. My oldest son is about to be turning 14. But we have families that have a little bit more of that high school age kids. And I think high school age kids get a bad rap, like they don't want anything to do with their parents, or they're doing their own thing, or they don't communicate very well. And we have found that the families of teens, the teens are the ones driving the families to use Jam more and more. They love it because they feel like, Mom, I told you my practice changed, or I told you I have this college deadline. And like, again, it's hard for us to keep track of everything. And so the fact that like teens are the ones who really want to be so organized was a major surprise to us. And especially makes sense when they've got so many deadlines with school and college applications and certain sports programs they're in. So it's been really cute to see.
Love that. I'm hearing that it's just giving other members of the family autonomy
That's right.
and, allowing them to feel like equal
Mm-hmm.
players in the game, which is really cool because I think a lot of moms, while we do love the control aspect, a lot of us, we also are really fine letting go of it a little bit.
Absolutely.
you
And that
know?
kind of reminds me of something that happened here even the other week. In my family now, like now my husband or my kids will remind me of things, which is like such a game changer because before, I'm the one reminding everybody of everything. And if I forget, it's done. It's like we forgot we had a dentist appointment. Oh my God, that's so frustrating and annoying. But the other day, my husband said, Oh, it looks like they have a dentist appointment tomorrow. Should I do the pickup? And I was floored. I'm like, Oh my God, we literally would have forgotten that. It was not on my radar at all. I was super busy with work. And so the fact that like other people can pick up that ball because they have that autonomy has been kind of like the ripple effect, I feel like, on, the moms or those who are holding the mental load on their families a little bit more.
Awesome. I love it. All right. Last question before we move into the lightning round, ladies. I'm curious because you are hyper organized mamas over there, and I always love a good hack. So, what other tools or hacks do you think families can use or have you used to get more organized and just lessen that stress of working parenthood?
So I'm a big fan of Instacart, of basically every week delivering the same things to our house. The snacks I know I'm going to put in the lunch, the apples, all of that, just as a recurring delivery that happens every week. Then if I decide I want to cook and do something different, I can go and do that. But at least all of the lunches and the basics of the meals that we have are there, and there's no mental energy from me every week or time spent actually doing the marketing. So that has been a really big game changer for us as a family. And then it gives me a little more time to be creative. I like to cook, so to be creative. And if I do want to go to the market and get something for a meal, I'm not overwhelmed by all the millions of other things that we need for the week.
Yeah, I agree with
Love
that.
it.
And anything that I can subscribe to that we need regularly, like, household supplies, even my kids' vitamins, I put it on a subscription because otherwise I was forgetting, oh, we've got to reorder it. So anything that can be a little automated is super
Mm-hmm.
helpful. I think another tool that we both started really pouring down on, especially once we started using Jam, although we did try to do this before as well, is that for us, it's the Sunday meeting, but I know other
Mm-hmm.
families that, they prefer to do it on a Monday or a different day. It doesn't have to be a whole thing. It can literally be 10 to 15 minutes of you and your partner. If your kids are kind of old enough to be part of that scheduling piece of it, they can be there too. And just run through, what do we have that week? Where's that gap of the ride that's needed, or the thing that we need to buy before that thing on Thursday? The tasks that need to get done ahead of time, whether it's by us or the kids. That's why we like to include the kids on it, because it's like, hey, you need to make a birthday card before Friday.
Mm-hmm.
And also because our kids, at least for sure mine, every morning, what are we doing? What's going on? And so, and I understand there's a lot of anxiety in not knowing what your day holds. So by doing it on Sunday, we kind of would all get on the same page. And then I felt like there was just less drama Monday through Friday of that after school pinch of, which used to be part of like a mile-long text thread, and the oops, I forgot, and can you do this? And it kind of, all of that ran a lot more seamlessly, with or without me, present, if I'm, in meetings or whatnot, when we had that Sunday meeting first.
Yeah, I'm all for less drama.
Yes, please.
So,
Yes, please.
yeah, and I totally agree. We have the vitamins on subscribe and save here too. I get
Yeah,
it.
anything to make it a little easier.
Yeah. Well, good. This has been such a great conversation, ladies. We're going to move on to our lightning round now, where I'm going to ask you just some random personal questions, just so our listeners can get to know you a little bit more personally. Are you
Yes.
ready? All right. If you could only eat one food for the rest of your life, what would it be? Calories don't count. Amanda, you go
Sushi.
first.
Love sushi. Can't live without it.
Yeah.
So you really can't. I know that about you. For me, it's so random, but it's popcorn. I literally eat popcorn every day of my life. It is my comfort food.
Yeah. Awesome. Is it like plain popcorn? Is it like the white cheddar
I need a
popcorn?
lot of butter on my popcorn. It is
Okay.
a buttered
Movie
popcorn,
theater style
movie theater
popcorn.
style is
Yeah.
fine. Um, I literally, everybody in my house knows how to make popcorn to my liking, and sometimes if they want to be nice to mom, that is what they'll do for me. But yeah, popcorn is
Nice. I
key.
love it. All right. What is your guilty pleasure TV show? Jessica, you go first.
I love any one of those kind of dramatic reality real estate TV shows. Latest one was Buying Beverly Hills, but anything where they're showing these super fancy houses and all the drama behind selling them, I'm there for
And
Yeah.
I also love Bravo. And my favorite is Real Housewives of Beverly Hills. I love them. I'm obsessed, as Jess will attest.
Yeah. Totally. I love a good
Mm.
Real Housewives series. Absolutely. All right. What is something most people don't know about you?
it.
Well,
Okay,
okay, I'll go first. In a many, many, many years ago, I was a keyboard player in an indie rock band.
No way. That's awesome. What was the
Called
name of the
Minor.
band?
Yeah,
Cool.
I'll,
Do you have any of these tracks
yeah.
recorded?
We recorded, we toured. It was a really fun time. Yeah. Uh, before
Wow, that's
my
really
delving into
awesome.
software, I was in a whole nother life. Yeah.
That's really cool. Okay,
I
Jessica.
was going to say I'll stick with the music theme. I am a closet karaoke lover. I have a terrible voice, so although my mom would say I have an amazing voice, but everybody else, it's more debatable. And my husband and I even have a karaoke machine in our house that we use at home. So we it brings us joy.
You have like private
We
karaoke
have we
parties.
have karaoke parties with ourselves, with if some friends come over. We break out the karaoke machine, and we absolutely love it. We think we're like Mandy. We think we're like rock stars back in the day, but we just never had that. So we're just pretending.
You're living out your
We're
rock
living
star
it
days
out in
now.
real time. Yes.
I love it. Well, please tell our listeners where they can find you, where they can download Jam. I'm sure everyone's going to want to download it after hearing all the amazing hacks that it can bring into your busy working mom life.
Absolutely. You can find us, our website, jamfamilycalendar.com. You can download it from the App Store, from the Google Play Store. Just look up Jam Family Calendar. It's available on web as well. So if you go to our website, you could also just sign up right from your computer or from any device or tablet or phone that you'd like. Jam Family Calendar.
Awesome. Well, thank you guys for being guests on the show. It has been a pleasure. I know I learned a ton. And we just really appreciate your time and for thinking up this amazing idea.
Thanks for having us. Thanks for creating this amazing community, especially for working moms out there. I think we all need that support and guidance. Um, and so we're just appreciative to be in this space with you today.
Yeah, thank you so much, Marissa.